The walls are shaking. Dust falls from the ceiling like snow. A young soldier presses his back against cold stone. His hands are trembling. Blood drips from a cut on his forehead. Boom! Another explosion. The entire city shakes. He can hear screaming outside, thousands of voices, maybe millions. Through a crack in the wall, he sees them. An army so massive it looks like the ocean itself has turned into men. Cannons bigger than houses, flames climbing into the sky. And then, silence. The kind of silence that comes right before the end of the world. He whispers one word. They're coming. This is May 29th, 1453. The city is Constantinople. For over 1,000 years, this city has stood as the greatest fortress on earth. It has survived 23 sieges. It has crushed empires. It has never fallen. But today, everything changes. Because outside those walls stands a 21-year-old sultan with a dream that everyone said was impossible. His name is Mehmed II, and he's about to rewrite history. But here's what they never told you about what really happened that day. Let's go back. Constantinople isn't just any city. It's the bridge between two worlds, Europe and Asia, Christianity and Islam, West and East. The walls of this city are 40 feet thick. 40 feet! Some parts rise up 60 feet high. There are 3 layers of walls. 3! The outer wall, the inner wall, and a massive moat filled with water. For centuries, armies have tried to break through. The Persians tried, failed. The Arabs tried 7 times, failed every time. The Bulgarians, the Russians, the Crusaders, all failed. This city is called the Queen of Cities. It holds the world's greatest treasures, ancient manuscripts, gold, art, knowledge from the Roman Empire. The Hagia Sophia, one of the most beautiful buildings ever created, stands in its center. But by 1453, something has changed. The Byzantine Empire is dying. Once it ruled half the world. Now it controls barely more than the city itself. The Emperor, Constantine XI, has maybe 7,000 soldiers. That's it. To defend a city built for hundreds of thousands. The empire is broke, starving, desperate, and everyone knows what's coming. Mehmed II becomes sultan at age 19. Everyone underestimates him. He's too young, they say. He's too inexperienced. But Mehmed has been preparing for this moment his entire life. His father conquered territories across the Ottoman Empire, but there was one prize he never claimed: Constantinople. Mehmed makes a promise: I will take the city that has stood for 1,000 years, or I will die trying. People laugh at him. Nobody can breach those walls, they say. Those walls have stood since the days of Rome. But Mehmed isn't like other sultans. He's obsessed with technology, with innovation, with impossible ideas. He goes to a Hungarian engineer named Urban. "Can you build me a cannon?" Mehmed asks. "What kind?" Urban replies. "The biggest cannon the world has ever seen." Urban pauses. That's impossible." Mehmed leans forward. "Make it possible. I'll give you anything you need." Here's what happens next. Urban builds a cannon so massive it takes 60 oxen to move it. The barrel is 27 feet long. It can fire a stone ball weighing 1,200 pounds. When they test it, the sound can be heard 10 miles away. The ground shakes for miles. This isn't just a weapon. This is a monster. But that's not the craziest part. Mehmed builds dozens of these cannons. He assembles an army of 80,000 soldiers, maybe more. Some sources say 200,000. He builds a fleet of over 120 ships, and then he does something nobody expects. There's a problem. Constantinople's harbor is protected by a massive chain, a giant chain stretched across the water that stops any ship from entering. The Byzantines think they're safe from the sea. The city can only be attacked from land, and those walls have never been broken. But Mehmed looks at that chain and smiles. If we can't sail through the harbor, he says, we'll go over the land. Wait, what? You're not ready for this part. April 6, 1453, the siege begins. Mehmed's army surrounds the city. The giant cannons start firing. Boom, boom, boom. Day and night, each blast shakes the earth. Stone and dust explode from the walls. Inside the city, people are terrified. Constantine XI, the emperor, knows he's outnumbered 10-1, maybe 20-1. He sends messages to Europe begging for help. Send soldiers, send supplies, send anything. But Europe doesn't care. There are political fights, religious arguments. Nobody sends help. The people of Constantinople are alone. But they don't give up. When the cannons blow holes in the walls, the citizens work all night to rebuild them. Old men, women, children, everyone works. They use whatever they can find: barrels, wood, stone. The defenders fight with everything they have, but the cannons keep firing. And then Mehmed does the impossible. Remember that chain blocking the harbor? Mehmed orders his engineers to build a road, a wooden road, over a hill, behind the city. In one night, his men grease the road with animal fat and soap. They take 70 ships, and they drag them over land, up a hill, down the other side. By morning, those ships are in the harbor, behind Constantinople's defenses. The Byzantines wake up and see Ottoman ships inside their protected harbor. It's impossible, but it's real. The morale inside the city shatters. People start to panic. If they can do that, what else can they do? For 53 days, the siege continues. The cannons never stop. The walls start to crumble. People inside the city are starving, but they keep fighting. Constantine XI is everywhere, on the walls, with his soldiers, fighting beside them. He refuses to wear his royal crown. He says, "I'm a soldier now, just like you." Mehmed offers him a deal. "Surrender, I'll let you and your people go free." Constantine refuses. "I will never surrender this city." Mehmed respects that, but he also won't stop. May 29, 1453, Mehmed announces the final assault will happen at dawn. That night is the strangest night in the city's history. The Byzantines hold a final prayer service in the Hagia Sophia. Thousands gather. Orthodox Christians, Catholic Christians, even though they've argued for decades, tonight they pray together. They sing hymns, they cry, they know what's coming. Outside the walls, Mehmed's army prepares. He walks among his soldiers. "Tomorrow we make history," he tells them. "Tomorrow we take the city that has never fallen." He promises his soldiers 3 days of plunder if they win. Anything in the city will be theirs. The soldiers roar with excitement. That night, nobody sleeps. May 29th, 1 a.m., the final assault begins. Not at dawn, in the middle of the night. Waves of Ottoman soldiers rush the walls. Arrows fly, cannons blast, men scream. The first wave is cut down. The second wave climbs over their bodies. The defenders pour boiling oil down the walls. They throw rocks, fire arrows, anything. Hours pass. Bodies pile up. The Ottomans keep coming. There are just too many. Then something happens that changes everything. A small gate, a tiny gate called the Kirkaporta, is left unlocked. Some historians think it was an accident. Some think it was betrayal. Nobody knows for sure. But Ottoman soldiers find it. They pour through. Now the enemy is inside the walls. Panic spreads like fire. The defenders try to close the gap, but it's too late. More and more Ottoman soldiers flood in. Constantine XI sees what's happening. He knows it's over. He could run. He could try to escape. Instead, he tears off his royal symbols. The city is falling, and I will fall with it. He draws his sword and charges into the battle. Nobody knows exactly how he dies. Some say he fought until he was overwhelmed. Some say he threw himself into the thickest part of the fighting. His body is never officially found. The last Roman emperor dies defending the last Roman city. By sunrise, Ottoman flags fly over Constantinople. The siege is over. The city has fallen. After 1,123 years, the Byzantine Empire is finished. But here's what they don't teach you in school. This isn't just a story about one city falling. This is the moment the world changes forever. When Constantinople falls, thousands of scholars flee to Europe. They bring ancient Greek and Roman texts, knowledge that had been lost for centuries. This sparks the Renaissance, the rebirth of art, science, and culture in Europe. Leonardo da Vinci, Michelangelo, Galileo, none of that happens without the fall of Constantinople. European trade routes to Asia are now cut off. The Ottomans control the crossroads of the world. So Europeans start looking for new routes. They start exploring. Christopher Columbus sails west looking for India. Instead, he finds the Americas. The age of exploration begins because Constantinople fell. And here's the part that will blow your mind. Mehmed II doesn't destroy the city, he saves it. After the conquest, he stops his soldiers from burning everything. He protects the Hagia Sophia. He invites Greeks, Jews, Christians, and Muslims to live in the city. He wants to rebuild it as the capital of his empire. He renames it Istanbul, and he makes it greater than ever. Within decades, Istanbul becomes one of the richest, most advanced cities on earth. But in Europe, the story is told differently. They paint Mehmed as a monster. They call the fall of Constantinople a tragedy, a barbaric invasion. For centuries, Western history books describe it as the end of civilization. But that's not the full truth. One empire fell, another rose. Knowledge spread, the world expanded, progress happened. Was it violent? Yes. Was it brutal? Absolutely. But history isn't simple. It's messy, complicated, full of gray areas. The fall of Constantinople wasn't just an ending, it was a beginning. Think about what those final defenders felt, standing on those walls, knowing they couldn't win, but fighting anyway. Constantine XI didn't have to die. He chose to. "I would rather die than see my city fall," he said, and he meant it. Think about the scholars who grabbed whatever books they could carry and ran. They preserved knowledge that changed the world. Think about Mehmed, a 21-year-old who did what nobody thought possible. He didn't just conquer a city, he conquered history. And here's the thing about history. It's not about good guys and bad guys. It's about people. People making impossible choices. People fighting for what they believe in. People changing the world one decision at a time. The fall of Constantinople reminds us that nothing lasts forever. Empires rise. Empires fall. Walls that seem unbreakable break. Cities that seem eternal fade. But ideas, knowledge, courage, those things survive. The books saved from Constantinople sparked the Renaissance. The bravery of Constantine XI is still remembered 600 years later. The ambition of Mehmed II changed 3 continents. That's the real legacy. Today, Istanbul is one of the greatest cities on earth, Over 15 million people live there. The Hagia Sophia still stands, just as beautiful as it was in 1453. You can walk the same streets Constantine walked. You can see the walls that the giant cannons couldn't fully destroy. You can stand where empires ended and began. And when you look at those walls, you realize something. History isn't something in a textbook, it's real. It happened to real people. People who loved, who feared, who fought. People just like us. The fall of Constantinople teaches us that change is inevitable, but it also teaches us about courage, about determination, about what happens when someone dares to do the impossible. Mehmed was told the walls could never be breached. He breached them. He was told ships couldn't be moved over land. He moved them. He was told he was too young, too inexperienced, too ambitious. He proved them all wrong. Constantine was told to surrender, to save himself. He refused. He chose honor over survival. He chose his people over his own life. Both men on opposite sides of history showed us what it means to fight for something bigger than yourself. So here's what I want you to remember. May 29th, 1453 wasn't just another day. It was the day the medieval world ended, the day the modern world began. It was the day impossible became possible, the day a 1,000-year empire fell in a single morning. It was the day a young sultan became a legend, the day an emperor became immortal. And here's the day that proves something we all need to hear. No matter how strong the walls around you seem, no matter how impossible your goals appear, no matter what everyone tells you, history is made by people who refuse to believe in impossible. The walls of Constantinople stood for over 1,000 years until someone decided they wouldn't stand anymore. What walls are you standing in front of? What impossible thing are you afraid to try? Because here's the truth they don't want you to know. Those walls are only as strong as you believe they are. And every wall, no matter how thick, how tall, how ancient, eventually falls. The question is, will you be the one holding the line or the one breaking through? Constantine chose to defend his walls until his last breath. Mehmed chose to break through them no matter the cost. Both changed history. Both are remembered forever. The fall of Constantinople proves that endings are just beginnings in disguise, that failure and victory are two sides of the same coin, that history doesn't belong to the people who play it safe, it belongs to the people who dare. So the next time someone tells you something is impossible, remember the walls that never fell. Remember the chain that couldn't be crossed. Remember the city that couldn't be taken. And remember May 29th, 1453, the day impossible died and everything changed forever. This is why you have to know this story, not just because it's dramatic, not just because it's epic, but because it proves that the world can transform in a single day, that empires fall, that heroes rise, that nothing is permanent, except the courage to try. The walls are shaking, dust falls like snow, and somewhere on the other side of history, someone is getting ready to do the impossible. Maybe that someone is you.